Okay guys, I want to show y'all something coming up on how to get these cage traps to work. It's often overlooked. People ask about trap and everything goes to coyotes and bobcats and high dollar brands and whatnot. And if you're a big time fur guy or a ADC trapper, this might not fit your bill. You might want to go into the Comstock, Tomahawk, some of those other high dollar traps that certainly have their place. But if you're a weekend guy, you want to remove 1 or 2 raccoons from eating your dog's food on the patio, 2 coons a year, or you want to get a kid involved, there's some complaints with these, and I'll call them hardware store cage traps. So just want to clear a few things up that have helped me out along the way. This trap's brand new. Come in a little closer so you can see this. The very first thing that I do when I get it out of the box is I go around. All of these are individual panels. I don't know if this is machined or done by hand, but the biggest complaint that they have when they catch something is that the coon or possum or whatever it is tears the cage up. Okay, but there's several reasons for that. Number one being, the first thing that I go through and adjust is all of these little collars that hold these separate panels together. See, this is not very tight. Most of these freely spin and you have some play in it, okay? So one thing that I do is I'll go around with a pair of pliers and I'll re-crimp all of these. That's gonna do a lot for the security of your cage. And I'm gonna add some wire, which we'll get into in a second. But what I also go do is take a pair of hog ring pliers and I will go in between each one of their collars. If you can see right here, see how that opens? They have play in that, all right? So I'll go in between each one of their collars and add my own ring. All right, and that does a lot for securing that trap. See, there's no more play in that. And I'll go around the perimeter of the entire cage and add them, okay? The next thing that we have is that we often have where the trap is set off and the bait is gone. That's because the bait's back here, the raccoon's hesitant to get in it, and he'll actually reach his hand in and eat your bait. And from the back side of this, what he ends up doing is tripping the cage from the outside, okay? So he'll eat and eat and eat and pull, and from right here, set the cage off, no raccoon. All right, so I'm fixing to show you how to prevent that. Here's a quick shot of the finished product where I have smaller screen where they can't get their hands in there, and I'll show you exactly how I go about doing that. All right, so let me show you what I was talking about. In between each one, I went and put my own hog ring and I doubled up every corner. Okay, so everywhere that there was a seam on both sides, I ran down my own hog ring. Okay, now for the wire. I pre-cut this, not to bore y'all with it, but this is let's check it out, probably a 1 by 1 square that it's on. I'm not real certain what this is. It's probably about 1/4 or so. I pre-cut it. This piece right here is for the back, just so that they can't reach in. So what I do is I come around the edge. It's fit flush because I pre-measured it. And then I'm gonna go in and hog ring it to the back. What that does is it cuts down the surface area of the hole, and the coon can no longer eat from the outside, okay? You might not catch a coon, but your bait will still be there and your trap will not be tripped, all right? So I just go through, I'm gonna just put a couple on here to show you the concept, and I'm gonna go back and secure it a little better. But all you gotta do is put that on, and now, I didn't run all the way up the top of the cage. I just went about 6 or so inches, because they're not going to be able to reach their hand all the way down, so it really wasn't that important that I covered the entire back of the cage, just so that they couldn't eat from the backside. Flatten it out. Make sure you don't have any slack in it. I don't think that really matters. It's just a personal preference of mine. And then I'll go around the perimeter, just occasionally adding them. Next thing I'm going to do is cut an entire piece to wrap around my sides. What I do is I cut from here. I go just in the back of the trigger because I put all of my food back here. So I cut one piece that wraps from the bottom along the top and then back to the bottom. I don't worry about screening the bottom of the cage because they're not going to move it. And screening the top of the cage is really unnecessary also. It's just easier to cut one piece that wraps rather than two individual pieces. So get that cut up in a second and I'll show you the finished product. Got it? All right, so right here behind the trigger, that's the back piece we put on. And just behind the trigger, where your bait goes, I'll put one solid piece that goes all the way around, and I'll put a little coat of paint on it. Paint really doesn't matter. Shiny metal's not going to do anything to the raccoons. I just find that left out in the weather, it protects with the rust. All right, guys, the last thing that I wanted to include is to show you, it's a video coming up. Another suggestion that I have to learn from the things, like if you come up and you have some empty cages, no bait, trap is shut, whatever the case may be, I use game cameras on most of my sets, and part of the way that I learned about this right here is going to be in the next video that you're going to see. It's actually a snippet from a game camera that I had, and that's what led me to start doing these traps like this. Give you a little heads up, it's a video of a raccoon in a bare stock cage with no modifications made to it. And then you'll see what I'm talking about. So, hope this helps. So, I hope this helps you out. And if you got any questions, just leave a comment or a message, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. Appreciate it.